Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Grim podcast. I'm Grim Grimes. My co-host, as always, is Dan Bob. And today, from SICW, we have the Volatile, Curtis Wylde.
Exactly right. Thanks, gentlemen, for having me on the House of Grim podcast. I'm sure that we're going to have a good time. I've caught a couple of your shows, and you guys seem like a fun time to talk about some wrestling.
Oh,
thanks, man. We appreciate that.
On, man. Let me start out by asking you, how long have you been in the business?
Well, since December of '99, so the math matched to about 25 years, guys.
Wow. Yeah. What drew you to wrestling?
Well, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I would see wrestling on it. I grew up in St. Louis, so there would be a lot of wrestling on TV on Saturday mornings, and got the chance to see Wrestling at the Chase reruns and World Class Championship Wrestling, and a little bit of WWE at the time. But that's kind of what hooked me. My grandparents took me to a couple of shows at the arena in the Checker Dome. And I really enjoyed being able to see that live. And before you know it, I was wrestling with pillows in my grandmother's living room and calling my own matches and recording my own interviews and playing my own entrance music. And I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Doing all booking a whole show.
Booking the whole show. And it was hilarious because I was the California kid, Curtis, from St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey.
California kid. That's great.
Kid. Yeah, I wasn't nearly as inventive then as I am now. So, but still had a good time. And then got a little bit older. My mom moved me down to Horn Lake, Mississippi, which was about 20 minutes from Memphis, Tennessee. While USWA was running strong and Jerry the King Lawler was the king of Memphis. I was down there, and Jeff Jarrett was opening doors. I would send in my self-addressed stamped envelope, and every chance I got, I would be at the TV tapings. And, being able to sit in that crowd and see that live on a fairly regular basis, it was really special, and it really was the bug that bit me. I was able to go to the Mid-South Coliseum. I was able to go to the Mid-South Fair. That was actually the first ring that I ever got into. Was at a Mid-South Fair after a wrestling show. They let some of the kids get into the wrestling ring, and I was one of them. So that was the first ring that I had the honor of being in.
I lived about 45 minutes outside of Memphis for about 5 years, and I got to meet old Jerry Lawler once.
Oh, wow. I actually ran into him a number of times, but one of the more special times was going to Raging Rivers or something like that. It was the water park in Memphis. Mm-hmm. Local radio station was pimping that Jerry the King Lawler was going to be there to swim with the kids. And I went down to swim with Jerry the King Lawler, and before you know it, it was me and Jerry the King Lawler walking in front of a group of about 20 kids that were about 5 feet behind us. He actually raced me on the Geronimo, which is that downhill slide. And I think that he waited because I won, and physics doesn't dictate that that's possible. I was much smaller than him. I didn't have the weight. But yeah, I mean, he let me wear his crown. I was the only one that he let wear his crown. I'm guessing because he didn't want his crown on a bunch of little kids' heads. But I got it off before everybody else did.
That's cool, bro.
That's awesome, yeah.
Them were some great memories, dude.
Man, great memories. I've had the wrestling business has been really great to me in the memory creation department because I have had some really great memories. This last weekend, I got to hang out in the locker room both Saturday and Sunday for our TV tapings at SICW, which you can check out on YouTube, with Wildfire Tommy Rich, or some people like to say Tommy Wildfire Rich. But nonetheless, man, a former NWA champion, and he's just kicking it in the locker room. You can pick his brain, you can ask him questions. And that's one of the great things about SICW now is that those legends do come through. And SICW isn't just a wrestling promotion, it's a learning experience. So it is the learning tree in the Midwest. If you want to be in a locker room where you can get knowledge, where you can get knowledgeable, and where you can draw from legendary talents that have been there, done that, and can tell you how to do that. SICW is the place to be in. It's the locker room to be in.
Um,
I got a question for you. Is there opportunity for other independent wrestlers from other areas, other states, to be able to come to your promotion and wrestle as well?
Absolutely. You would be shocked how many people Herb Simmons let come in, if they're doing a tour, if they're coming through, things like that. He has talent from all over the country, and constantly has a lot of people calling, but there is a constant rotation of guys. Of course, we got our core group of guys that you're going to see most of the shows, and that's the SICW core guys. But you're gonna see people from all over the country at SICW from time to time. They always got an opportunity. They just gotta get a hold of Herb Simmons, and if the opportunity presents itself on SICW's end, then there's always an opportunity for people to ply their trade. And I think that wrestlers from around the Midwest, from around the whole country, really can attest to that. If they're coming through and we've got a show going, Herb Simmons sometimes will work you on, and it's kind of a misnomer in the way that there is a whole lot of long-term stories and things like that going on, but we also have the fresh talent that comes through from all over the country, and you might be able to see people that you wouldn't expect. I don't know if you guys know who Warhorse is. He's went out and made a bit of a name for himself, and he was just at our fan fest. James Jeffries from Iowa comes down. Gil Rogers, who was Rory. Rory. Man, I keep wanting to say McAllister, but that's an Irish guy, right?
Yeah.
But he was on the MTV thing. He's now Gil Rogers, but he wrestled up in Iowa and made a name for himself. He's good friends with Woo Woo Woo. What's that? Who's that guy?
oh,
Uh,
GCW.
yeah. I've seen an interview with him and Chris.
Yeah, I did.
Fleet.
A lot of times you'll see those guys. They're tight, so you'll see those guys doing videos and stuff together. But Rory Fox, that was his name. Yeah. Sorry, Gil Rogers, forgot your other name. But in SICW, he's Gil Rogers. He's a very Bob Backlund type of individual, and concentrates a lot on the wrestling. Rory Fox is a lot more attitudey. So sometimes people out there live a little of two lives.
Yeah, I feel like wrestling is making a very big comeback, and I also feel like the independent scene is like in a big time boom period right now. Like all over Michigan, man, we see independent wrestling taking place just about every weekend. Is that pretty much the same concept in Chicago and Illinois as far as independent wrestling?
Well, when I was in Chicago, it was like that way before the current boom, where you could wrestle every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend in the Chicagoland area. St. Louis is very similar in the way that you'll be able to find a show most weekends. And fortunately, there's a lot of places for people to work around here. Unfortunately, there comes drama and soap opera and infighting and all of those other organizations. But luckily, an organization like SICW that's been around for 45, maybe going on 50 years, is kind of above that fray in the professionalism department. We don't really play that game. Herb Simmons doesn't play that game. We do our business. We do good business, and that's how we make our name. That's how we do what we do.
Great, man.
And we don't really concentrate on the drama or the infighting or any of that stuff. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of time. We're there to entertain people, to get butts in the seats, and when they're there, to give them the best damn show that we possibly can.
Now,
Go ahead, Graham.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I seen that you had to run for public office.
Yeah, and I try not to mix those worlds, but yeah, it's a thing that I did, man, and it was a good time. And wrestling really played into that, because wrestling made me a shameless self-promoter, And in order to do politics, you got to be a shameless self-promoter. You got to not be afraid to have your face on a sign,
Right.
or stand in front of the room with a microphone. And that's really how I achieved. I was on a national committee. I won't mention which one, but I was on one of the major political parties' national committee. And how I achieved that was someone else nominated me early in the morning. I went up and I cut a 1 minute promo that was politics, but pro wrestling in its essence.
Right.
And I moved on to the next round, which was cutting a promo later that day. And I cut a promo later that day, and before you knew it, I was on a national committee for one of the two major political parties in the country. And I did that for 4 years. So pro wrestling brought me quite the adventure in that.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we don't see like more pro wrestlers in politics. I mean,
Well, you'd be surprised. You got Kane. You got
Rhino also ran for office.
Oh, you guys already know. I don't have to tell you.
There's been a few, but surprised there hasn't been like a lot more. Because you got the whole public speaking. I mean, you pretty much have it down. Being in the wrestling business.
Public speaking is the single biggest fear in the world. It's not being burned alive. It's not drowning. Public speaking is the biggest fear in the world. And for us to be able to do that in front of a live studio audience or a live crowd of 800 rabid fans in our spandex and singlets, I think that politics was a walk in the park in retrospect.
Yeah.
And in politics, you're going to have to deal with trolls, and wrestling was a perfect, education and preparation for being able to deal with those trolls and being able to not get emotional about it, but still, handle those trolls in the way that I still did as a pro wrestler, because I'm gonna shut it down. So. And if you keep going, my black button is strong.
Any future plans for running again, or?
No, not at all. Not currently. It took a huge toll on me. It took a huge toll on my family. It's a whole lot of volunteer work for a hope and a wish. And luckily, in my position on the national committee, I had a supporter of a candidate who was not the candidate that I supported when I came in, as a disruptor, as somebody who said, "You're not doing things right. You're messing up. I'm here to help fix it." But I had somebody on the other side of the aisle that had quite a few miles and was able to fly us, me and my wife, Wildfire, around the country multiple times in those 4 years. And I appreciate that. Shout out to them. But it is a different world. It's a different world in the way that it's even more dirty than pro wrestling. In pro wrestling, you know that there's underhanded people, and you know that there's con artists, and you know that it started out as carnival barkers. You know this. In politics, you expect a little dignity. You expect a little honor, and I found very little of that. Especially when you get to the higher levels, when you get in those rooms that they don't think regular people should be in. They say a lot of things that are very illuminating, and one of those things is that when you get up to the high levels, they don't talk about people anymore. They talk about the stockholders, or stakeholders within the party, and they stop talking about the regular Joes. And the stakeholders are the donors. You get to figuring that out when you get in those rooms, and it's just dirty. And somebody can look you in the eyes and tell you that they're gonna go your way tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and you find out that they lied, just straight up. So it's just a really dirty business, and I don't have any real interest in getting back involved in that.
I don't blame you, man. Ask this: what's your goals for like rest of your career? What do you want to accomplish before you retire?
After doing it for 25 years, I think that I'm probably on borrowed time. I've done most of what I'm able to do, and I could have been okay with just walking away probably a number of months ago, but now I've been a tag champion for over 300 days, and I'm looking down this main event July 12th. In Collinsville at SICW versus Big Nasty Glen Williams for the Central State Championship, and that's the last prize that I have to complete, being the second Grand Slam winner in SICW history. So I do have goals now. I've got things that I want to achieve, and I always kind of knew that I was never going to make it to the big show, because at the time that I did get 2 tryouts early in my career, and at that time they were hiring Matt Morgan, they were hiring Nathan Jones, they were hiring guys that were 6'10", 375 pounds, nothing but muscle, and I wasn't what they were interested in. Just wasn't my time. It didn't work out. However, had I been around when the territories were going hot, that would have been a very different story.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the territory system's almost kind of making a comeback with the independent scenes. You know, you got.
I'm seeing a little of that. Man. And unfortunately, I'm 45 years old now and can't really capitalize in ways that I could have as a younger me.
Well, I mean,
what about doing something like coaching,
like producing or
stuff like
helping backstage with younger talent.
Well, I do quite a bit of that in my own way now in the locker room. Like I said, the SICW locker room is a locker room that tries to give back, and so if younger talent comes through, a lot of us will give advice and pull them aside and things like that. At the Ace Wrestling Academy, I did do some guest training spots before it went on hiatus, and that was a great time. I have a real problem not stepping into that trainer hat when it comes to if I see something that's off, or if I see something that could take a little adjustment and look better. I can't not say something. I've got to jump in. I've got to try to improve the product. And it doesn't matter who is creating the product. If they're doing something that I can help with, I'll try to help.
What do you like to do more? Tag team matches or single runs?
Oh man, I was a singles guy for all of my career until I started teaming on a regular basis with Billy McNeil, and we quickly became the SICW Tag Team Champions. And so far, we haven't lost them. We've been on a roll. We can't figure out a tag name. Like I said, we're at over 300 days, probably 325 days, something like that, as tag team champions, defending them against all comers. We're doing a great job keeping those belts and keeping them held in the honor and the esteem that they deserve. But I was always a singles guy. So I got to say that being a former SICW Classic champion, when that was the only belt that SICW had, and we had that, and we had the Bruiser Brody Memorial Cup. I had both of them at one time. Now we've been introduced to tag team championships. I've had those for over 300 days, and now we've got the Central States Championship that's been around for a couple of years, 2-3 years, but it added to that Grand Slam winner capability. It opened up the possibility of being able to pull off something that only the great one, Night Train Gary Jackson, has been able to pull off. And I think that that's something that I'd be extremely honored and appreciative to be able to carry that belt, even though a lot of people think of it as maybe an intercontinental type of belt to the Classic being the World Championship. But there's a reason that me and Glen Williams are in the main event July 12th in Collinsville, Illinois for SICW. There is a reason that him and I are going head to head, and we're going to lock eyes and lock horns in the main event for the Central States Championship. And it's because Glen is exactly what I was. It's because I am exactly what Glen wants to be, one of the legends in SICW. I might not be a legend in professional wrestling, but in SICW, I am one of the standard bearers. In SICW, I am one of the cream of the crop, the top of the card. When I am in a match, it is the main event. Glen Williams wants that. Glen, come and take it, because when you try, I'm going to take that Central States Championship.
Man,
I'd like to see you take that title, bro. That'd be awesome.
I think you're going to take it, man. You're going to take it.
It's only a matter of time, Glenn. Tick tock. It's only a matter of time, my brother, before you step into the ring with the Lion of the Lou, the Wolf of West County, the Spark of Forest Park. You swim in the deep end, and you find out what a shark is. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I realize it's a podcast.
Hey, you do you,
Hey.
brother. I'm here for it. I was
He made it
drawn
personal, and if you tune into SICW TV this coming Sunday night, or no, it'll be, it will have already aired. You said this show's not going to air until next Tuesday, but if they go back to SICW TV, the most recent show, when they see this show, they're going to find out exactly why it got personal. They're going to find out exactly why Glenn is going to reap the wrath of what he has created.
in.
Can't wait to see this
Me
match.
neither. And if you're in the area, July 12th, make sure you're there at that show. Man,
Yeah, I know.
Collinsville, right?
Doors open at 6, bell times at 7. Glenn, about 2.5 hours later, I'm whooping your ass.
You know me. Awesome.
Check it all out, SICW.org. Follow
Thank you.
SICW on YouTube, SICW All-Star Wrestling. Subscribe, like the channel over there. You can always check me out at wildthings.com. WYLDE things with a Z.com, because I'm a little different. But I do appreciate you guys having me on. I hope I didn't get too hyped up. And if you have questions, man, we can get back into the interview.
Right. You mentioned your wife. She's your manager?
Yeah. She is my manager, my valet, my other half. She is a trained professional wrestler. She was trained in South Broadway, MMWA, Mid-Missouri Wrestling Alliance, by myself, Gary Jackson, Sean Vincent. And she was a very competent wrestler. She had an injury. She stepped outside the ring. But she's always been the wildfire behind Volatile, Curtis Wylde, since about 2004.
Nice.
So she's been around for over 20 years now herself.
It's awesome that so you guys met through wrestling, right?
Only kind of. So here's how that went down. Quick clip notes of it. I was wrestling all over the place. I was wrestling in 5 states, probably 2 to 3 times almost every weekend. And I had a friend in Chicago that I would wrestle on shows with named Tristan Hayes. I was coming back from a show that I did in Wisconsin, and I called him and his girlfriend up. I said, "Hey, I had a pretty good payday tonight. I'll take you guys out for dinner. Let's meet at such and such." And we met there. They started telling me about a girl that his fiance was going to high school with. Before you know it, they put me in contact, and it just so happened that wrestling brought us together, but only kind of. It was a friend, a mutual friend in wrestling, but it's not like we were involved in wrestling together before that.
Okay.
That's pretty cool though, because usually blind dates like that don't work out.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, man. I lived down about 3.5 hours south of Chicago, where she lived at that time, and there was a whole lot of phone calls, and there were a whole lot of conversations that made it like it wasn't much of a blind date once we met, and it's just been, 2 kids later. We've got a 13-year-old. We've got a almost 4-year-old in September. And they are both just awesome, and I'm not too positive. I really don't want them to wrestle, but I think my son is getting the bug already.
I was getting ready to ask him. I was getting ready to ask about him if he was going to end up getting that bug.
Yeah, if you look at my TikTok, you can see him dropping an elbow off of I think it's the back of the couch, and his elbow drop is exactly like mine, and it's that Perry Saturn tuck in elbow drop. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And I actually have a picture of him doing the elbow drop off the couch, me doing the exact same elbow drop at SICW's Wrestling at the Chase show, where we wrestled at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel, in the Corsicon Ballroom. And I was doing the exact same elbow. I put a side by side. It's the exact same motion.
That's awesome. Father like son.
Yeah, but he got it way quicker than I did. I was a tough study.
Is there any advice you could give any independent wrestlers that are trying to come up in the ranks right now?
Yeah, I'll be right back on the camera. But as far as advice, um, become a student of the game. I mean, you really want to learn about professional wrestling in order to honor it properly. You want to know the history of it in order to carry on that history. So that's a big thing that I'd like to tell a lot of younger guys that um, may not be thinking too much about bastardizing the industry or doing shit just because they think it's funny or they think it looks cool. But it really damages and can damage the business. But I think that there are a lot of people, as you mentioned, we're having a little renaissance in independent wrestling, and there are a lot of people who are getting um, the history and understanding the stories that we tell and the memories that we create. And they're going out there and they're doing that to larger crowds by and by, and it's been a shift because a lot of people got used to watching their cell phone on a Saturday night, and they've got too many opportunities to get entertainment elsewhere. But now it's kind of shifting back to live entertainment, and that's another thing that bit me about pro wrestling is the live entertainment aspect of it. Because like I might not like music, a certain type of music, but if I see that music live and I watch somebody create it before my very eyes, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that art being created right there, in the moment, and that's what wrestling is. My advice is to figure that out. Figure out the less is more. Figure out the working smarter, not harder. But figure out the memories that you're creating in people. Figuring out the emotional roller coaster that you're taking those people on, because they're choosing to come to your wrestling show and not watch a show on television. But they do like that emotional roller coaster of feeling like they have triumph and then feeling let down and then getting back to that triumph. And people enjoy being taken on that, or they wouldn't go to movies, they wouldn't listen to music. And I think that they're really stepping up and stepping out now to watch it live. So if the people are there, make it worth it to them. Make sure that they get every dollar of their ticket. And it doesn't even matter. And this is going to sound a little egotistical, but you make sure that every person in that seat gets their money's worth, because you can't guarantee that everybody else is going to do that. So you're not always going to be on a show like SICW. So you go out there and you make sure for those 10 minutes, those 20 minutes that you're in that ring, that you give those people every bit of their money's worth, because you've got that power.
See, this is what I like about independent wrestling. Going to a show is it's no matter where the wrestling's at, right? Like you could take a date, you could go with your homeboy, like me and Grim. I could take my brother.
You
It
take
don't matter.
kids.
You take kids. It don't matter whatever the occasion is that calls for that. You could take them to wrestling. You know what
It's
I mean?
more affordable than taking them to a movie. It's more
Right.
affordable than taking them to a monster truck race or go to play putt putt.
Right.
So,
And yeah, and right now with the way the world is, the economy is, you go to a WWE show, bro. You're gonna spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. And then you still got bills and got to make sure food's on the table for the kids.
And not
So you
getting
can,
any interaction with
right, and then you could go
wrestlers.
to a independent wrestling show. You know what I mean? And be able to see them legends, be able to see them guys that are gonna interact with you and take time out of their day to take a picture with you or an autograph.
Yeah,
And them are
exactly.
the memories. Those are the memories that I, when I was a kid, remember more than anything else.
I've had a wrestler at an independent show take a whiteboard so I normally change what it says on there. I wrote on it, use my sign, and grabbed my sign and used it during the match, man. I was like, I felt like a part of the show,
Mm-hmm.
And that never would have happened at a WWE show
No.
or one of the bigger events. It just never would have.
And then
So
And then at another show, the same board, Rohit Raju came out of the ring and came over the barricade and grabbed the sign, started fanning himself. So that was another memory from that show that we got. And I mean, it's just great going to these independent wrestling shows, man.
I tell people all the time, we are not in the pro wrestling business. We are in the memory creation business.
Yep.
We are going out there to create memories. That's it. Wrestling just so happens to be our medium. That's our paintbrush.
Right. Do you guys use social media at all to
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can go to I believe it's SICW Wrestling Explosion, SICW All Star Wrestling, SICW.org. I'm sure has all those links, and SICW All Star Wrestling on YouTube is their stuff. And you can find me anywhere and everywhere at Curtis Wylde, Wylde. You can also search me at Lion of the Lou or Wolf of West County or Spark of Forest Park or the next Central States champion after I beat Glen Williams July 12th in Collinsville, Illinois in the main event at SICW.
I'll be sure to link everything in the video description. I was checking out SICW's YouTube page. Man, there's some fire matches on.
Yeah.
I had to check it all out too.
Man, that's a good time. It's a good time, and people might underrate it because some of us got a little pepper in our salt. You know what I mean, or the other way around. But experience does wonders, and to know how to entertain a crowd it is sometimes a head and shoulders more than being able to do a lot of fun moves and being able to do a lot of acrobatics.
Yeah.
Are any of the wrestlers using social media to like help promote their matches, like instigate
Absolutely.
shit with one another? Like for
Absolutely.
instance,
I mean, we're a little late to the ball game. I mean, not me. I've been doing this for quite a bit, but some of us are a little late to the ball game. But they're getting on board. They're getting it figured out, man. It's new to a lot of guys that have been around, running the roads and sending out VHS tapes. That's where I started. I was sending out VHS tapes and printouts of my resume, my pro wrestling resume, with an 8x10 tape, and I probably do 5 or 10 of those a week to different promoters around the country. And now you can just send a link,
right?
So
Hey, like right now in Michigan, there's these two tag teams, and they've been going at it, and they've been jumping to a couple different promotions, but mainly at their home base promotion, they've been going at it for the tag titles for quite some time. And then on like Facebook, man, they're posting shit back and forth, and it's so hilarious, and it's like more engaging almost to follow the story that they have created with each other on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so awesome,
that's the
bro.
stuff I enjoy, man. That's the stuff I enjoy because you do one-off matches and you're able to have some fun out there and maybe create a match full of memories. But if you do that in multiple places for a year plus, you are creating a soap opera or an epic story within this small community, and people underestimate that. I think they want to blow things off in 2-3 shows, and I think that real rivalries take some time to build and to show why you hate the guy. And Glen Williams is easy to hate, so we don't need a whole lot of that story. But I used to be easy to hate too. And he needs to realize that all the things that he's learning now are tricks that I've used for decades. And Glenn, I think you're just in a little over your head. Champion or not, you're stepping on through to the wild side.
Yeah, I might have to reach out to him, man, see if we can't get him on the show to see what he wants to say about all this.
Well, he would like to say that he's a good talker, but that's not a lot coming from a guy that's got a rat growing out of his chin.
All right. Well, I have one final question for you before we end.
All right. Shoot.
My final question is, what is your favorite match you've ever?
Oh, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. Favorite match as far as stipulation would have to be when I won the Wicked Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Championship. It was in a what we called a Hell on Earth match. It was a 2 out of 3 falls count anywhere, tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Oh, wow.
So that was probably my most fun stipulation. One of my most fun matches in the last few years was probably Attila Khan, except he ended up using a fork on me, and I bled like a stuck pig. Um, and it's probably one of the more iconic photos that I have. Wildfire Tommy Rich was actually at that show and was a bit queasy at how much I bled. I looked like a burn victim. You can go look at my pro wrestler page, and in one of the profile pictures, you can see that picture. But one of my favorite feuds, honestly, was Sean Vincent, and it was because of that long-term type of thing. Sean Vincent and I started locking horns when I got to the St. Louis area from the northern Illinois, Chicagoland area, Illinois Valley, and we started feuding when we were both very young, probably 2002, 3, 4, and that feud lasted a while, and then years later we rekindled that feud. That lasted a while, and years later in SICW we rekindled the feud even again, and ended up I was a villain. I ended up having to be his valet for a day. Me and Wildfire had to be a valet for a day on his ranch, much like the David Von Erich and who was it? Jimmy Garvin. The Jimmy Garvin, David Von Erich valet for a day, where Jimmy Garvin and Precious had to go to the farm and do a lot of farmhand things. Tell me you guys have seen that.
No.
Seen that, bro.
Oh.
I'm gonna have
Okay,
to
well,
look
you guys
that
got 2 things to watch when you get off of
Mhm.
here. You got homework from a Curtis Wylde podcast. You ready? you got to watch the David Von Erich, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin valet for a day promo
Okay.
that they did on David Von Erich's farm way back in the day, and then right after that, find a thing called Curtis Wylde Barn Burner Extended Version. And it's about 25 minutes of me and Wildfire on Sean Vincent's ranch, having to do kind of similar things that Jimmy Garvin was having to do. And it was a really memorable time. I got a lot of, um, legends telling me how memorable it was to them. So that meant a lot that those
Pretty
people were
cool.
even seeing it, you know.
That's
Um,
awesome.
But yeah, Sean Vincent and I took it to multiple states. We wrestled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We wrestled in Illinois, Missouri, and he was probably my most hated foe, which is interesting because he is now starting to earn a little trust from me, and the fans are starting to take to him a little bit again after he was a villain for a while. So this might be the first time that Sean Vincent and I might be on the same side of the fence. So there's big things happening, big things popping, little things stopping in SICW.
Thank you very
That
much
phrase is from the '90s, guys. You're gonna have to forget.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. And
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Be sure to let everybody know about July 12th main event. Myself, Big Nasty Glen Williams for the Central States Championship in SICW. Thank you both for having me on. Let me know when this goes live, and I'll share it on my end.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.